live this Sunnyside Summer Thursday. This is CHGO Blackhawks Top 10 Thursday. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois MedCard holders. Thanks for being with us. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi. We got Lawrence with us today running the show. What's up, fellas?
What's going on? What's going on in your world, Jay? Yesterday was my world, my ear canal world.
Nothing. Today was I went to therapy today, so a good day.
Good.
Always a good day to go to
good
therapy.
day.
So yes, it's always a good day.
Nice.
So that's what I did today, and then lost to the Packers in Madden.
Oh,
A little upset.
That's
A little
rough.
upset. I gotta learn how to defend the pass a little bit in Madden here. It's a bit of a challenge for me.
We're gonna have some video game talk on today's show because the trailer that everybody already saw was officially revealed.
Yes, it was
for NHL 25. But I downloaded Madden last night.
Mm-hmm.
How is it so far?
It's Madden. I mean, I'm having more fun with it because the Bears are better.
That usually does make it more fun.
And while Caleb Williams is only like a 76, which is kind of the default for all the rookies, he's still actually like pretty damn good in the game.
What a bum.
Yeah. So I've enjoyed it so far. I did already pre-order NHL 25.
Nice.
So yeah, we got a lot of video game talk.
You got your video game budget is tapped out then.
Dude, this is for whatever reason, it seems like this is the time of year. Well, first of all, you get all the sports games now.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're adding college football to the mix. So within like 3 months, it's college football, Madden, EA Sports
NHL.
FC, if you're into that. NHL comes out. Then it feels like September, October, like you always get a new some big thing that's probably going to help ship systems around the holidays.
You get a big either open world game or something right before Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yeah,
like the Star Wars Outlaws game that's coming out that I will definitely be getting.
Yeah, right.
There's too many, but that's not why you're here. You're here to smash the like button. We'd appreciate it if you do that for us. Hit that like button, subscribe to our YouTube page as well. If you're watching on Roku, hi, we're actually live. It is Thursday at 2:33 p.m. This ain't a recording. Channel 260 on your Roku, or just search for CHGO or go through the sports tab and you can find us there. Add us to your favorites with that little asterisk button. Very, very helpful. And podcast listeners, you were there first. We love you the most. Make sure you are following or subscribed on your favorite podcast app and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and or Spotify. So today, in honor of the Democratic National Convention being at the United Center, we are going to honor the top left wingers in the NHL. That's our top 10 Thursday list today. So we're going to get to
why
that.
We're not in the studio.
Yeah, exactly. Because we can't be around there.
Yeah,
tough with any ease anyway.
Tough to navigate that area if you're just trying to live your own life and not actually go to the event there.
100%.
Yeah, but I did see, and I will confirm, it is not us. It is not the CHGO Blackhawks group, but there is a special guest that is supposed to be a big surprise tonight at the DNC. So that'll be interesting to see who it ends up being.
All right, so I have 2 guesses. I'm going to say my favorite is it's going to be Beyonce. That's my first thought. My second thought is somehow it's Taylor Swift.
She was in Europe, I think.
No, I mean, remember, she was in Japan, then got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was gonna say not unlike her to be able to take a jet anywhere at any time. But yeah, I think those would be 2 big ones. We already saw Lil Jon. That was pretty cool.
I didn't think it'd get bigger than that.
Yeah. Well,
maybe instead of
Sean Astin was there too.
Maybe instead of Hulk Hogan and Kid Rock, they're gonna bring out like Stone Cold and Limp Bizkit or something. I don't know. We'll see.
I'd put money on Beyonce. I like that one.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And Taylor Swift's been she's done I don't want to call it good. She has accomplished her goal of playing it down the middle pretty well. So that would surprise me if she came out and did like a full-throated endorsement of anyone. So I think Beyonce is the odds-on favorite here.
Yeah. They had Oprah yesterday. I mean, it's been a pretty star-studded event there. So glad that we're home for it.
Yeah, I'm holding out hope that it's Tesla, but I don't think it's going to be Tesla, unfortunately. We'll see. All right, so before
like the Cybertruck.
No, the band, you idiots.
I know.
Come on, get some culture in your lives.
Tesla. Oh, okay.
All right. We got an NHL trade to tell you about. It has finally happened. Rutger McGroarty is headed to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for Braden Yeager. Both players, 14th overall picks, 1 year apart from each other. So it's basically even level prospects to make them happy, I suppose.
Yeah.
Greg made a good point on Twitter, and Greg will be back on Monday, that if this was the conversation to get McGroarty, any conversation with the Blackhawks probably started with Oliver Moore or Frank Nazar or maybe even Kevin Korchinski, and the Hawks were probably wise to say, no, we're good. We know what we've got. We got our guys here. We like them. Let's stick with them, and just kind of stand pat. So
yeah, and I feel like this is a move that like benefits both teams, because you have the Pittsburgh Penguins, who do not have a very robust prospect system. They don't really have like a good like youth movement coming behind the very old team that they have. And you had McGroarty in Winnipeg, who was just like, I'm not playing for you guys, so figure it out, because it's not going to be me. So I feel like that it's a trade that makes it work for both teams, because I would say Rutger McGroarty is probably a little bit of an improvement as far as prospects go than Braden Yeager. And Winnipeg doesn't really take too much of a step back, and they get a kid who, I mean, for all that you can guess, probably will play for them, and won't, pull the same move. And yeah, I think, for McGroarty, I think the thing for him was he was irked that Winnipeg didn't do more to make room for him at the end of Michigan's season. I think it was last year, this past season, and didn't really, try and get him games at the end of the year. I mean, we saw it with Frank Nazar. He was brought in and played a couple of games with Chicago, and Winnipeg was in a different situation as they were preparing for the playoffs. But, I think that kind of soured him on like, how much do you actually value me if you're not trying to get me in and get me into this environment, and how do you see me as a prospect that can't help this team in a critical point? And I mean, it's good that a prospect believes in himself that much. I think Winnipeg's probably still in the right to be like, well, we're going for a playoff push, and we don't really want to throw in unknowns into the NHL right away. So I don't fault them for that. But, I think with McGroarty, he gets into a situation where he's probably one of the top young guys in Pittsburgh system that I could think of offhand.
I'd imagine.
And is probably ready to go right to, the professional ranks, whether it's with Wilkes-Barre in the AHL, or maybe fighting for a spot in Pittsburgh right away.
Yeah, I would think that he has a better than 50-50 chance of making the Penguins this year. Yeah, I mean, good trade, fun, exciting, all that stuff. But your point's right. Like, if you're Winnipeg, I mean, I get that you want to start your career and get that contract going, like the Hawks did with Nazar. Like, I get that, but it's situational. Like, the Jets are fighting for playoff positioning. They're trying to get a better draw. They're trying to get a better playoff situation. The fact that, and like you said, guys want to do what's best by them, and I get that, but to not like have the zoom out look at it for McGroarty to say, all right, right now this team has bigger fish to fry than getting me on the ice and getting my contract started. I'm going to have my opportunity soon. I'll just wait for it. Like, to be pissed and to want to trade because a contender didn't like stop everything they were doing to like get him in and get his money. I don't know. I don't love that. I know in hockey that's not going to go over very well. With players, with teammates, with that sort of thing. It's, just kind of the last sport that's really seems to be team first.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the opposite move of that. And again, I know where he's coming from. I get it. He's seeing his friends like Frank Nazar from Michigan get his opportunity, get his money, all that stuff. I understand it, but I think if the Hawks had been fighting for playoff position last year and they didn't bring Frank Nazar up, I don't think Nazar would have been mad about it. I think it makes all the sense in the world. So
yeah. Well, and too, like, you got to think, I don't know where the Jets were with the salary cap, but if they were to bring in a new contract at that point, like, you have to figure that it's not a prorated hit. Like, if you sign them to 925,000 or whatever, that's 925,000 on your cap as soon as you sign it. So I don't know how much room they had. Maybe they had enough to fit it. So that's maybe one of the things that he's just like, hey, you could have still fit me or whatever. But if they didn't, I mean, that's something they also have to consider, because then it's just like, are you moving somebody down off of your NHL, off of your NHL cap to fit this rookie and for what, a couple of games? Like, yeah. So I get it. I get it from Winnipeg side to be like, well, we're not going to do that. But also I also applaud McGorty and Cutter Gauthier to be like valuing themselves. We saw it with him in Philadelphia, just to be like, yeah, I just don't want to play here, and whether it's, the fit of the team or the coach or the way that they've been handling, the development. We heard from Ryder Rolston when we talked to him a few years ago about, when he was traded from Colorado to Chicago, and the difference in how they treated and handled prospects and their development and everything. Like, those all come into consideration. So now I think we've seen a lot of, this kind of a new wave within the youth of the NHL, where guys are betting more on themselves and realizing that the individual has a little bit more power and say than we've seen in the past. And I think we're going to see that with contract negotiations and things like that, where it's for years, it's been so automatic that it's just like, oh, as soon as this young player is ready for a big contract, it's going to be a 8-year max extension. And they're going to be a Maple Leaf or a Blackhawk or whatever for life. And it's just like, well, some players might think differently. They might be like, I'll take a 5-year deal, because if I'm, hitting my prime at 26 and I sign this deal at 21, I don't want to be, looking for a second contract when I'm 29. I'd rather do it when I'm 26 and a little bit more spry in the eyes of the NHL. So I think there's a little bit of a shift. It's not like every young guy is going to completely come in and be me, but I think we're seeing a little bit more of it. And I think it's a new generation of player kind of thing.
Definitely. Nate brings up a good point and says Pittsburgh's in a hard spot because it's hard to justify tearing it all down when Crosby is still so good. And he is. Like, Crosby is still near the top of his game. But those are the tough decisions you got to make. Like, we saw what happened in Chicago when Stan Bowman tried to keep the window open for a few more years with the Fleury trade and the Seth Jones trade, thinking like, let's make one more run with these guys, and it put them in a really bad spot. And whatever you think about Seth Jones's contract, like, in hindsight, it's something they shouldn't have done. I think he's a very good player. I think he's very valuable to the Hawks, and he's here, and it's fine. But it was a bad move at the time. It didn't fit their timeline at all. Timeline, not timeline. Got my mind on the margaritas already.
Nice.
But
save that for tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. It just didn't make a ton of sense in the context of where they were. But Bowman's looking at it like, well, we've got Crosby. I mean, we got Kane and Taves, and Pittsburgh's looking at it, well, we got Crosby, so we got to keep trying. Well, that team's going to be in when Crosby retires. Pittsburgh is going to be horrible for a long time.
Yeah, if they don't do anything to try and bolster the next wave of young guys that they need, they're going to be in trouble, because it's going to be an immediate drop off. The difference between Pittsburgh now and Chicago then, when Bowman made all those deals, was Pittsburgh hasn't declared, well, it's a youth movement,
right?
With Chicago, with Bowman, it was just like, we're going to invest in the youth. They did it for 1 year. And then it was just like, oh, here's McCabe and Seth Jones and Marc-Andre Fleury, and we're going to push and try and go into the playoffs again. Like, it was they completely abandoned the youth movement that they were trying to like test the waters of maybe a rebuild, and then realized, we don't want to do that. So I don't know. We'll see what Pittsburgh ends up doing.
They're going to end up being bad for a long time. All right. Top 10 Thursday begins momentarily here on CHGO Blackhawks. But lime, as I mentioned earlier by mistake, can also go good in a Coors Light, because everything goes good in a Coors Light, because Coors Light is awesome.
It definitely could.
Yeah, like lime is the fruit equivalent of a Coors Light. Like, you add it to something and it just makes it better, and it makes it more chill. And that's what Coors Light's for. When you choose chill after a rough day at work, driving the streets, whatever it might be, when you choose chill, then reach for a Coors Light. It's mountain cold refreshment. When those mountains turn blue, Your Coors Light is as icy cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. So when you out there in podcast, Roku, or YouTube land embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door right now with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Now, Jay, if you know me well, you'll know that I am not a big car guy, right? Not really out there working on my car. Not really out there trying to fix it up. I go to Jiffy Lube for oil changes, and I go to Ray Chevrolet for oil changes as well. My daughter, today, we were in the car, and she goes, "Dad, where are the Chevys?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? How do you know what a Chevy is?" And I think it's because we were driving past the Ray Chevrolet dealership out in Fox Lake. You want to shop the Ray Chevrolet dealership and secure the right new Chevy and price for you. It's because their new car clearance event is going on all month long, and you can shop their huge selection of new Chevy models right now at new low prices. You can visit them this August at their location on Route 12 in Fox Lake, or you can go to raychevrolet.com. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Right now, get 0% financing, make 0 payments until 2025, put $0 down, and find 0 hidden fees on all new Chevrolet models, or cruise into August your own way and shop over 125 of their other vehicles priced under $20,000. And if you've heard of Ray Chevrolet, then you've heard of their price promise. They're guaranteed to make your next vehicle more affordable than ever with no price changing, no add-ons, and no hidden fees ever. That means the incredible prices that we're talking about right now, you can expect to see the very same ones when you shop Ray Chevrolet in store or online. Shop the new car clearance event all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. And that is a true story, by the way. We were driving today and she goes, "Dad, where are the Chevys?" I'm like, "Where did you hear that?"
She's looking for Kevin Cheveldayoff and family.
Maybe. But it was quite the like, huh? Like you are getting smarter.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the logo. Who knows?
I don't know. There is a neighbor that we have that has an old truck in their front yard. I think it's a Chevy. And maybe someone, I don't know if my mom or my wife or something was just like, "Oh, that's a Chevy." And I don't know. It's just stuck in her brain. She's very smart.
Kids are weird, man. They pick up on the strangest stuff, honestly.
They sure do.
All right, before we get to our top 10 list, we have a $2 super chat from Brian who says, "Will Nazar make the roster next season?" Well, it's been one of the primary topics of our off-season shows. I think our consensus is that he will definitely have a chance to make it, but I would say if you're going to put money on it, you're probably better off saying he's going to start the year in Rockford and then come up at some point. I don't think it's probably unlikely he'll make the team out of camp unless he's awesome.
Yeah, which would be great.
Yeah, sure. We'll take it.
Yeah. No, I think he starts in Rockford and then is, if he plays well, he's probably one of the first guys that they say like, "Hey, come on up and show us what you got."
Exactly. We also got a super chat yesterday from our pal Windy City Hockey that we didn't get to. Apologies for that, but thank you for the super chat. I think it got through like right when the show was ending. So sorry I missed that, buddy, but we appreciate it as always. All right, let's get to the top 10 left wingers in hockey right now in honor of the Democratic National Convention. And by the way, dude in the chat, simply talking about political events is not getting political. It's okay. You'll be okay. Number 10 on the list, captain of the Pudwax, Brad Marchand. Last year with the Bruins, 82 games, 29 goals, 38 assists. That's 67 points. Boston played in 11 playoff games last year, 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points for Marchand, and led all left wingers with 3 shorthanded goals. This is a guy who just remains good, incredibly reliable, and I think he's improved himself at staying, playing on the line more often. He will still go over. He'll still do his antics because I think that's part of what makes him good and effective.
Yeah.
But I feel like Marchand's done a better job of picking his spots than he did earlier in his career.
Yeah, well, I mean, he doesn't have Zdeno Chara to back him up anymore,
That
So
helps, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I think he's still a guy that he is molded the way that he plays to continue to be as effective as he needs to be. But I think he's also at some point in his career he realized like being the like pest and being the guy that's really going to get under the other team's skin. That's all well and good, but he is so much more skilled than just being like that kind of guy, that kind of player. So at some point, I think he started to turn the dial back towards the middle, where it's just like, let me rely more on my skill and everything than being out there and getting in people's faces and stuff. And I think he's getting up there in age, but I think he's still been able to play that style and let his skills show, and shows to the longevity he's had in his career. I feel like he stays healthy for the most part.
Yes, he does.
Doesn't really, even though he plays a aggressive style, it's not necessarily going out there trying to lay people out. He's 5'9". Like, I wouldn't try and do that either.
Yeah, he's a pest.
Yeah. So it's a good, if you can be that kind of player, stay on the ice and stay effective, like, you can make a very long career out of it.
No doubt. And I think too, like, I'm showing my age here, but Theo Fleury was a guy like that. 5'6", tiny as hell, but would just get under your skin. Like, as a young man, there was a time I considered climbing onto the ice to kill Theo Fleury, because during a Hawks game, he was being he was just such a shithead. Like, there'd be scrums and he would like kick with his skate, like try to like slice a shit. Like, he was just the dirtiest pain in the ass player. And then there was also kind of the thing of like, I can't beat this guy up. He's 5'6". I can't grab this guy and pummel him.
Yeah.
It's like beating up a child. And then also he'd score 50 goals. And as you're furious at him, thinking of climbing the glass and going to jail, he scores the game-winning goal on you and just like gives you the stately wave. And you're like, God, I hate that freaking guy. When he was at his peak, that's how he was. And that's very much how Brad Marchand was and is. Next up on the list, number 9, another agitator, Brady Tkachuk. 81 games played, 37 goals, 37 assists, 74 points. He was 4th in the league with 357 shots on goal. I thought that was interesting. That is the leader among left wingers. The lesser of the 3 Tkachuks, which is still pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll do a Tkachuk rating.
A Tkachuk off. There you go.
Yeah. We'll do that on After Dark.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Brady is a guy that, like, I know a lot of chatter was surrounding him about being, traded out of Ottawa and stuff. Like, Ottawa's building with him, building around him. They have a solid group of young guys. It's just so crazy how, like, it just seems like it hasn't gone the right way with some of those young guys for Ottawa, but he's one of their best players. Like, he's just a guy that can go out there, put up 30-40 goals and be the voice of the team, be the leader, and also play that style like a Marchand, be able to like get in your face. And unlike Marchand, like, Brady will drop the gloves and mess you up too. So like, he's a lot. Him and his brother are very, very similar in the way that they play. And they play like their dad did.
Yeah, exactly. And for those that don't remember, Keith was a 50 goal scoring prototype power forward in the era of power forwards, where there was Eric Lindros and John LeClaire and guys like that. He was one of the maybe the premier power forward in hockey during his day. So it's just unfortunate that he played for the Blues and Coyotes primarily, and the Jets. Played with Alex Jamnov.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
all right. Next up, before we hit the break zone, number 8, Philip Forsberg. 82 games, 48 goals, 46 assists, 94 points. In Nashville's 6 playoff games, he had 2 goals and 4 assists. He had 11 game-winning goals last year. That's second in the league behind Braden Point, who had 12.
Nice.
You want to talk about a late bloomer? Like, Philip Forsberg has been good for a long time.
Yeah.
But like, to this level, that's a new thing for him. Like, he has really found his game over the last few years.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do now that Nashville added some extra forward help with getting Marchand and Steven Stamkos, because for a while it was basically like Philip Forsberg's their best scoring threat, and he was kind of like their only one for a while at a high level. Now you got Jonathan Marchand and Steven Stamkos, both guys who hit 40 goals last year as well. Like I wonder if some of the load being taken off of Forsberg's shoulders will be good for him and allow him to maybe even go under the radar to other teams and maybe be even more effective than he has been with being like the go-to in Nashville. So he's one of those, like, because it's Nashville, you don't always think of him, but like then you look and you're like, oh, he almost scored 50 last year. Like,
Yeah.
It's one of those guys that he's just like kind of under the radar, but super, super good.
And I feel like I'm looking back at his seasons, like 94 points this year. In 2022-23, had 42 points in 50 games. So injuries have been his biggest enemy. So 50 games in 2022-23, 69 nice games in 21-22, but he had 84 points in those games. Then 39 games, 63, 64, 67. Last year was his first 82 game season since 2016-17. So now that he's fully healthy and had a full season, and he's hitting his prime, you're going to start to see, and your point is very well taken, that now that they've got some help for him, maybe his numbers go down, but those with Stamkos and Marchand and him, that makes Nashville a lot better, lot deeper.
There's a chance they go up.
Depending
on where they play him, depending on who they play him with.
I'm just, the opportunity maybe his power play minutes go down or whatever it might be. But I mean, we've been talking all summer about Bedard having better players with him and his numbers going up because of it. So I think, Forsberg, if he can stay healthy, and that's a big if with him, could have a huge year. And again, like really he's 30 now. He turned 30 actually last week. He turned 30. So 29 for his breakout 94-point year. With that 84-point year, he was 27. And that's when NHL players like 26, 27 is when they really hit their prime and become the best players they are. And Philip Forsberg is right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we got time for probably one more before the break zone. You may have heard of this guy. Number 7 on our list from the Washington Capitals, Ovechkin. Am I saying this right?
I think so.
Okay. 79 games, 31 goals, 34 assists, 65 points. Ovechkin. Thank you. He went pointless in the Capitals 4 playoff games this year.
Rough.
Look, when it's all said and done, he will probably be the game's all-time leading goal scorer. He is a goal scoring machine. And what's funny is last year, really a slow start for him.
Yeah.
And then caught fire, basically like helped will the Capitals into the playoffs, and then didn't do much in the playoffs. But
he got there.
You just sit him in that left circle, get him the puck, and he's going to score.
Yeah.
He's just a natural.
Yeah. I personally had Ovechkin at 10 on my list. I just think like age is catching up to him. I think the way he's played is catching up to him, but still, I'd say top 3 just ability to score in the league.
100%.
And I think we're getting to that point where with him where it's starting to become like he's going to have nights where he turns it on and turns it off. But when he's on, I mean, he's still a beast out there. I think he's definitely, he's not going to retire or leave the NHL until he's got the goal record. And I can't remember off the top of my head how far he is away. I think he's like 50 something away.
So probably 2-3 years.
So it might be this season and then start of next season that he then gets it. But yeah, I mean, he's still the face of the Capitals. He's still the guy that's gonna take them the furthest, which is why that team is kind of like I don't know, wild card might be the best that they can do again, and even that might be stretching it.
Yeah, and Reven says Ovi at 7 is way too low. Remember, we're doing as they are today with their current skill sets. We're not ranking them all time. We're talking about
this isn't all time. Yeah,
right. We're talking about right now. All right. The top
61 away, Michael Evans says.
That's right. The top 6 will coming up next here on CHGO Blackhawks. But looking at Ovi, looks like he may have discovered our friends at Family Farms over the last few years.
Yeah.
Because of their bacon wrapped chicken. Family Farms' culinary journey is woven with passion, dedication, and commitment to crafting the finest bacon wrapped chicken, which has been tantalizing your taste buds since 1974. Even if you weren't born, it was still happening. The tradition continues. You can now find Family Farms bacon wrapped chicken even easier. Look for them in the meat department at your local Woodman's, Mariano's, or Burcott's. If you're craving a taste of home without leaving yours, check out baconwrappedchicken.com or click on the link on their Amazon store, which also includes the legendary Rocky Rococo's Italian sausage. And to find out when their new amazing Cajun Nation flavors will become available with that authentic Louisiana bite. Experience the flavor that's become a family favorite for generations. Visit your nearest Woodman's, Mariano's, Burcott's, or on Amazon, baconwrappedchicken.com. We love our Family Farms bacon wrapped chicken.
We sure do. We sure do love that bacon wrapped chicken. You know what else we love? We love our CHGO diehards. You guys sign up to become a diehard. You help us keep doing the awesome stuff that we've been doing here at CHGO and throughout the All City Network. And when you become a diehard, you get 20% off of all events. You get 20% off of all merch, and you get exclusive access to premium written content and our diehards only Discord channel, where we have a lot of fun stuff going on in there for our diehards. It's worth the price of admission and more. So become a diehard. And when you're saving 20% on events, you can go to allchgo.com, go to our events page, and see all the cool stuff that we got going on around the Chicagoland area, like the CHGO Cubs takeover happening on September 6th. That's going to be against the New York Yankees.
Ooh.
I think there's a former Cub on that team that would be fun to see come back to Wrigley Field, right? Do
Gleyber
that
Torres.
on September 6th. And if you're into soccer or footy or football Americano, CHGO is taking over Soldier Field when FC Miami is coming to town. It's the CHGO Fire tailgate August 31st with a pregame tailgate meetup. After the game, there's a Jason Derulo concert. That's going to be awesome. And I believe there is a chance that Leo Messi will be healthy and ready to go by the time that game kicks off. Literally, that'll be next week. And if you did sign up for the CHGO Kickoff Classic, the second annual one, golf outing at Cog Hill, good on you. We will see you out there on the links tomorrow. If you didn't, well, you had your chance. You heard all about it leading up to the event. It's going to be a great time. Weather looks to be good. The course should be in great condition. The food should be hot, and the drinks should be cold.
That's it. And we want to welcome our new diehards, Tim, Curtis, Sandy, Anthony, Eric, Kevin, Dakota, Michael, Jerry, Matt, and Andrew. Thank you for becoming our most recent diehards. You should be one too. All right. To number 6.
Hey, real quick.
What?
Ovi's 41 away. Michael Evans said he's no good at math.
Michael.
41. Oh, well, he could get it this year then.
Well, he's got PLD on his line now, so he should be fine.
Also, shout out to Cricket, whose husband named their dog Ovechkin.
Oh, that's adorable.
Nice.
Yeah.
Give
Ovi some nuts for us.
What did he have last year?
31.
Was it 31?
Yes.
31.
Yep.
With a slow start.
Right. It's doable. They're better.
He's 41 away from tying, 42 from breaking it.
Okay. I mean, he's going to do it.
He's going to do it.
Yeah,
look, just play him all year with Dylan Strome. Bing, bang, boom.
There you go. My new HUD hero, Dylan Strome, kicking ass and taking names. All right. On to number 6 on the list from the Winnipeg Jets, Kyle Connor. 65 games this year, 34 goals, 27 assists, 61 points. In the Jets' 5 playoff games, 3 goals, 2 assists. Speaking of game-winning goals, he had 10 right behind Philip Forsberg and Braden Point. So it's third in the league in game-winning goals for Kyle Connor. That's a guy who I think, you go talk to 100 people on the street, maybe even outside of a Hawks game, right? And say, who is Kyle Connor? How many people heading into a Hawks game could tell you who Kyle Connor is? Maybe half.
They might think it's number 98.
Yeah, really, for real. And I mean, that's part of playing in Winnipeg. Maybe that's why Rutger McGroarty wanted out. His name is too good to go lost to time. But yeah, I mean, the guy's just a stud and continues to get better. And I think his best hockey is still ahead of him.
Yeah, I love Kyle Connor's game. I think he's one of the more underrated, like, just scoring threats. I know when we were talking about earlier this offseason, with Winnipeg, it was just like, oh, maybe Nick Ehlers hits the market or something, or maybe, someone else, you try and get off Winnipeg, because it seemed like they were going in the direction of not really, keeping everything together and staying competitive. This is last summer too. We were having those same kind of discussions when, Scheifele and Hellebuck were due contracts and everything. And I remember just being like, man, if they wanted to get rid of Kyle Connor, he would look amazing next to Connor Bedard. Being a guy that could just put up 40 goals and just be that scoring threat that way. So I really like Kyle Connor. I think he's one of the underrated best scoring threats in the league.
Crabwriter. Sorry. Sometimes your names are hard to make out. Pat Foley did the 7th inning stretch today at Wrigley.
He
had a Troy Murray jersey on.
Cool.
Pretty awesome.
Nice. Good. Dedicated T-Mott bug to Troy.
I believe that's Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
I know. I had to think of that like 3 times. I was like, what does that mean? And I was like, take me out. Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Nailed it.
That's awesome. Good to see Pat Foley out and about.
Definitely. All right. On to the top 5. Number 5, the guy who was only successful because his parents were rich.
Yeah.
Zach Hedman.
The Adam Banks of the NHL.
Yeah, he is like the only rich kid ever played in the NHL.
Yeah.
Zach Hedman, 80 games played for Edmonton, 54 goals, 23 assists, 77 points. In the playoffs, 25 games, 16 goals, 6 assists, 22 points. A couple fun facts about Zach Hedman, aside from the fact that he's rich. He was on ice for 157 goals for. That's the most among left wings. He had 4 hat tricks last season behind only Austin Matthews, who had 6. His .68 goals per game led all left wingers, and he was third in goals this year behind only Austin Matthews, who had 69.
Nice.
And Sam Reinhart, who had 57. Zach Hedman. And I think a lot of Hyman is kind of falling victim to the, this guy plays with McDavid and they're just banking pucks off his head and everything. Like, give Zach Hedman a little more credit than that. He is proven to be a really good player. He's near the top of the league in shooting percentage. That's not a luck thing. That's not a puck hitting him and going in thing. He's very, very good. And 54 goals is nothing to sneeze at. And produces in the playoffs too.
Well, and that's an art, is being able to be willing to play within that like 10-foot radius around the net and be effective that way. Like, we talked to Corey Perry earlier this past season. Jeez, I am hitting this mic too much. We talked to Corey Perry earlier this past season about, having that goal scoring edge, having that goal scoring mentality. And sometimes it's not always going to go in just from, a beautiful cross ice one-timer or a dangle and a snipe from between the circles or anything like that. Sometimes you have to go right to the crease and park your butt in front of the goalie and have something bounce off of you, or be there for a rebound, or be there for a deflection, and get your goals that way. And there's not a lot of guys that do it that effectively. And Zach Hedman, before the past, I'd say 3 seasons, made a name for himself being one of the like hardworking guys that'll go into the corners, play defensively, go retrieve pucks. He did that in Toronto a ton, playing with Matthews and Marner mostly. And then he realized, hey, if I go to the front of the net and I'm just good at getting rebounds, and I'm good at, being there with my stick on the ice, and good at the fundamentals of playing in front of the net and play strong, I'm going to have a lot of success. And lo and behold, he only plays with Connor McDavid. Yeah, he earned the ability to do that, and he played an effective way to go, be on the ice with McDavid, let him do his thing. And then Hyman's thing was, anything that's on the net, I'm going to be there to tip it or rebound it, or, be there to make a play otherwise. Like, it is an art to be able to play that way.
I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully Law's okay with this from Money Puck. It shows the Zach Hedman heat map.
Oh, yeah. It's like one circle.
I think Lawrence has to allow me to do that, but it's pretty funny. There it is.
Let's see.
That's Hurricane Hyman right there in front of the goal. You'll see that's where the eye of the storm is. Everything
into the stage, Hurricane Hyman.
Well, yes. Well, let's move on from that. But yeah, that's just an indicator of that's kind of a lost art.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of guys who are willing or able to play that old school, just get in front and get your ass kicked kind of a game. And Hyman is thriving at that.
Yeah. And it's that whole take of like, oh, he's only successful because he was opportunities were bought. Like, no, like he is a guy that works his ass off and wasn't, he wasn't the Austin Matthews or the Connor McDavid type of prospect. He's a guy that had to work and play a hard style of hockey to get to the level that he's at. And I mean, he's having a ton of success. That's why he's here at number 5 on our list.
Yeah. And somebody in the chat says, Larry says he isn't that effective. It's just that McDavid is that good. As soon as he got to Edmonton, his numbers went up. He also got to Edmonton when he was 28. It's when guys hit their prime like that. And you've seen the gradual growth. He had 36 goals last year, but he had 83 points. He had more points last year than he did this year. So yeah, I mean, of course, playing with McDavid is an advantage. But I feel like people are way too quick to credit McDavid with the vast majority of Hyman's success. Connor McDavid's played with a lot of guys who have not put up 54 goals next to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's part of it. He's definitely part of it. So he's right there. I mean, the numbers don't lie. Yeah, he got better when he came to Edmonton because he hit his stride in Edmonton. And guess what? Edmonton seems to be doing a better job of putting their players and building a team than Toronto's doing.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Next up on the list, number 4 from the Dallas Stars, Jason Robertson, 82 games, 29 goals, 51 assists. That's 80 points. In Dallas's 19 playoff games, he had 6 goals and 10 assists, 16 points, which is kind of funny because I feel like a lot of the talk around Robertson this year was that he had kind of a quiet playoff.
Yeah.
It's nearly a point per game.
Yeah. I think that narrative is because he's supposed to be like the driving force of for the Dallas Stars, but what lends to the Stars' success is that they don't have just one guy that has to do it. But I think Robertson is the guy that is going to be most relied upon as Dallas tries to continue to have this contention window open. They have some really good young guys hitting their strides. Robertson's the head of the class. Rupe Hintz has turned into a really effective player. They got Logan Stankoven that's coming up in his NHL career as well. They're just a solid team. Robertson is one of those guys that it's just like, again, he's kind of like under the radar because of the way that Dallas is built, but he is, I would say he's their most important player moving forward here.
Yeah. And he's only 25. I mean, so his best hockey's ahead of him. So you're right. Like that team, we've talked about them a lot as kind of how you want to model your team building.
Yeah.
After, because they've got a good mix of vets and kids, and they still got people coming through the pipeline. Jim Nill has done a really good job of loading that team and then continuing to reload the team with prospects. He doesn't go crazy on the salary cap, right? He is not giving out massive, cap damaging deals. I think he's done a masterful job so far.
Yeah.
That brings us into the top 3. Number 3 from the Minnesota Wild, Kirill Kaprizov, 76 games, 46 goals, 50 assists. That's 96 points.
It's pretty good.
0.06 goals per game is second among left wingers, third in the league with 19 power play goals behind only Sam Reinhart and Leon Draisaitl. Just a natural scorer. And I just wonder when his deal comes up, if he might not be on the radar of a certain Chicago team.
White Sox?
Yes, the White Sox. He is a UFA in 2026-27. Making $9 million now. He's 27 years old.
So that'll make him 29 when that contract ends. Yeah, 29.
Do you give him like 10 by 5? 11 by 4?
I mean, here's the thing. That's what, two more seasons this year and next.
At 9.
I mean, he's probably gonna, if he keeps playing like this, he's probably gonna play himself into 10, 11, maybe even 12 range, depending on what other contracts get doled out over the next 2 summers and where the salary cap goes.
If he's approaching 30. But I mean, guys have signed pretty big deals at that age anyway, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's again, how often do we talk about trying to get these big fish and then 80% of them never even hit the open market, right? I think Minnesota is looking at where they're at right now and looking at what they have with like young guys coming up, like they're better suited keeping him around. Like they are better suited to make sure that he is in Minnesota for his entire career, because I don't think they have anybody that's going to replicate what he can do coming up in their system. So I don't know if he hits the open market, but hey, maybe it's 2 more years of being completely mid, and he's looking around for a better opportunity to contend, and maybe potentially at that time Chicago is pretty attractive. So it'll be interesting to see. But as of right now, I mean, he is a guy that you buy a ticket to go and see. I know it's not 100%. I know it's not hard to sell tickets in Minnesota, but he is a guy that is worth the price of admission.
For the record, I was looking it up. When the Hawks signed Marion Hossa to a 12-year deal, he was 31. So it's not. I guess being 30 at the time would not be restrictive for.
No, we've seen that before. Yeah.
All right. Next up to number 2, it's our old buddy, the Breadman, Artemi Panarin. 82 games with the Rangers, 49 goals, 71 assists, 120 points for Artemi Panarin. 16 playoff games, 5 goals, 10 assists, 15 points this year. 0.6 goals per game, third among left wingers. 0.86 assists per games, led left wingers. 1.46 points per game, led all left wingers. My worst hockey take of all time is probably calling Artemi Panarin a one-trick pony. And not wanting the Hawks to really invest a ton of money in him. Well, definitely wrong on that one.
That happens. Yeah, I mean, man, I had a hard time not putting him at number 1 because I was just like, he is just so damn talented. But I think, I think we'll agree, number 1, I think as a total package of a player is a little bit different than Panarin, but it's really 1A, 1B. Choose your favorite here. But man, Panarin is just a stud. I know the narrative is that he shrinks in the playoffs and everything, but I mean, he's close to, or if not above, a point per game player in the postseason in his career. I feel like he is still just at the elite of his career, and he hasn't played a ton of NHL hockey compared to other guys at his age. So I think the wheels probably still have some, or the tires still have some more tread on them than we're expecting for a guy already at his age.
61 points in 73 career playoff games. So that's
all right. So it's not exactly,
but it's not disappearing.
Game, yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, he's still very effective. All right, number 1 on the list. Everyone pretty much guessed it when we started. No surprise here. Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup champion, Matthew Tkachuk, 80 games, 26 goals, 62 assists for 88 points. And the Panthers, 24 playoff games, 6 goals, 16 assists, 22 points for him. Just the total package. And as you mentioned, the fact that Panarin will probably go for a long time, even though he's 32. I wonder about the shelf life for Matthew Tkachuk, playing the way he plays, going through the things he's gone through already.
Yeah.
It feels like the descent for Tkachuk could happen very quickly.
Maybe. I mean, he's still young too.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I'm just wondering, how much can he keep? He might have to reinvent himself too. There are a lot of guys who later in their career figure out how to make it work, but he's already the best left winger in hockey. He's only 26, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going into his 9th season.
Yeah, I mean, he jumped into the NHL as a teenager, and when we talked about the trade that got him to Florida, we were talking about, most people, I think, we're talking about how, wow, Calgary, wow, what a deal you got, and it ended up being Florida getting the better end of the deal, the better end of that transaction, and how do you argue with the Stanley Cup, right? And Matthew Tkachuk, we saw it in Florida's run 2 seasons ago, where he was dragging that team through the postseason and playing through a broken sternum and scoring all the game-winning goal. Like he just planted his flag on the NHL mountain and said, like, no, I'm here, I'm a superstar, I'm leading this stacked team and everything, and then he did it again last year, and gets to win a Stanley Cup. So yeah, I mean, he's that guy that just does everything. He's going to play hard. He's going to play in front of the net. He's going to play in the corners. He's going to play physical. He's going to get in your face. He's going to beat you up, and he's going to put up, close to 100 points. Like it is the total package of a player. And I mean, if you're starting a franchise from scratch and you can pick any NHL player right now, he's probably one of the first 5 players that are like, if you were doing a fantasy draft, I know it's fantasy draft season, he's probably like the 5th guy in your list. That's where I would have him. I'd say
a fun
like
show to do.
I'd say like McDavid, Makar, McKinnon, and then throw some names at the wall, and Matthew Tkachuk should be one of the first 2 after those 3 that you're like, yep, this is who I'm building my team around.
Well, fortunately, one of those guys plays in this city too, so that's good. That's exciting.
True. That's true.
Yeah, he's just, and I think, you mentioned the broken sternum. It was so bad that Brady Tkachuk, who was not involved in the playoffs because he's this Ottawa Senator, literally getting Matthew out of bed every morning, having to like physically lift him out of bed to get him ready, and then he'd go play a Stanley Cup playoff game.
It's insane.
With a broken sternum. It's nuts. Like it's a different breed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different kind of guy. You knew from the moment he was born, him and Brady were going to be NHL players. They grew up rich too. Those are the only 3 though. Hyman and the Tkachuks.
So privileged. Yeah. I mean, he even that story, as psychotic as it sounds, I mean, that means a lot to people around the league, to his teammates and everything, to be like, you were going through that to try and help everybody else. It's crazy. It's crossing a line into insanity, but that's what happens when you get those kinds of like elite players, those elite competitors, and you put them in such a scenario as playing for the Stanley Cup. Like it takes you to a different place, and there's some guys that can do it. There's some guys that can't. And Tkachuk is one of those guys. It's he's the one of the ultimate competitors in the league.
Well, I mean, it's like we talked about with Jonathan Toews for years too. Like the impact of a guy making the most money, being the highest profile, working the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got guys in that room that look at each other like, well, if he's doing that, I got to do it too. Like
right.
There's no excuse for me to slack off or cut any corners because the highest paid, highest profile, best player on the team is not cutting any corners and not taking things for granted. So I sure as hell can't. It's a great example to set. And you're right. Like he is my favorite player that is in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I could just pluck and put him on my team, that would be the guy. I love watching him play. I love his demeanor. I love his game. It takes me back to like when I fell in love with hockey. He reminds me a lot of Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Like they play a very similar kind of a game with not only the scoring, but the physicality, the sacrificing the body, the playing through insane injuries, the charisma off the ice. Like he is a total package.
Yeah.
And like when you talk about growing the game in other markets, like having that high profile in Florida is a good thing. Like that I think people tuned in to the Stanley Cup playoffs to watch Matthew Tkachuk because older fans have the name recognition of the dad. And like, he is a draw. That's the kind of guy that he is worth the price of admission to play. Yeah. And by the end of the 60 minutes, you might hate him if he's playing against your team. But man, like so many guys on this list, you would just love to have him on your team if it was at all possible.
Absolutely.
All right. I forgot 3 more rich people I thought of.
Oh.
The Hughes brothers.
Ah, yes.
All 3 on the cover of NHL 25. If you missed it, the trailer is out now. The pre-order information is out now. I believe the release date was October 10th.
October 4th.
October 4th.
Just before the season starts. Yep.
So I got the 7 days early access because I got the deluxe edition. So does that mean I get to play it at the end of September?
Yeah, that's what early access means. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, but I hope they're not saying October 4th is early access.
I think the 4th was the release date.
Sweet.
So I think you should be all good there. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get the game, of course. I'm interested to see what this new ice cue that they're promoting as a new development in the game looks like. It's supposed to be like kind of like the game adapts as you play it, and I don't know. This is just the first reveal. It looks like an NHL video game that we've come to know from EA over the last few years, as far as like the look of the game, the look of, the screenshots and all that. So I think I know that they did a big overhaul of their development staff going into NHL 24. I'm interested to see now what installment 2 of that new staff has to offer. And I'm very interested in how much they pay attention to the offline modes, because I'm an offline mode guy. I know you're big into HUT and all that, but I couldn't care less. I don't play HUT. I don't play World of Shell. I want to play franchise mode. I want to play Be a Pro mode. And those are the ones that I hope get more attention. And I said it every year for almost the last 8 years for NHL. So hopefully this is the year that it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right, and I hope they do more. I just want it. By the way, all sports games, just give me a season mode. I just want to play the season.
Yeah, one season.
I don't want to, like in college football, I don't want to recruit people and like do like I want to play through the season. That's
you
all
can
I
do
want to
auto recruiting.
Oh, okay.
It's not it takes the depth of the game away, but I understand that. Like before this installment of the college football game, I was getting annoyed with back in like NCAA 14. I was getting annoyed with it recruiting because I'm like, it's too much. It's too much stuff. Like, I just want to send my coach to this guy's house and sign him. Like that's all I want to do. There's
a lot of people that play it as like a sim.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to do all this stuff and then simulate the game. I want to play the game.
Right.
That's why I'm playing it. Online, offline, whatever it is. I want to play the game. And Michael says, why isn't Luke Richardson the coach for the Hawks in NHL 24? They don't have real coaches in the game.
Not anymore.
I don't know why. And also, Matt Eberflus is not the Bears coach in Madden. It's like some random dude. Or it's a very poorly drawn Matt Eberflus.
I think it's all licensing.
Yeah, but I think I don't know.
They used to have the actual coaches in the NHL games.
No, we'll figure it out. Let's make that happen. All right, we're going to wrap things up. Thanks everybody for being with us. We want to send a special thanks out to our CHGO diehards. We love you. Without you, we can't really do what we do. So if you've been considering becoming one, please do go to allchgo.com to become one today. And remember, we are available on Roku. If you've got a Roku stick at home, or your parents do, or your friends do, let them know. Channel 260. You can also just go into the little sports tab, and we're in there along with all the other ALLCITY networks. And or you can just search CHGO and find us that way. It's very, very easy to do. We will see you tomorrow at the golf outing. We're back live Monday at 2:30, back at full strength here on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.